When I released my annual report a few weeks ago, I spoke about how the current economic situation has intensified the need for strong and effective oversight of government to protect public dollars and trust. The report I'm releasing today tells the shocking story of what happens when the government fails to protect vulnerable members of the public. Bestech Academy was a small, private career college with a relatively small number of students, but the implications of the government's failure to look out for these students are as big as Ontario itself. Thousands of students attend these colleges, and as more and more people are thrown out of work or forced to seek retraining in new fields, their enrollment will only grow. We simply cannot allow that to happen, and we cannot let what happened to Bestech students happen again. Bestech Academy était un petit collège privé d'enseignement professionnel qui comptait un nombre relativement restreint d'étudiants. Mais les répercussions du manquement du gouvernement à protéger ses étudiants s'étendent à l'Ontario tout entier. Des milliers d'étudiants sont inscrits dans ces collèges et maintenant que de plus en plus de gens perdent leur emploi ou sont forcés de se recycler dans de nouveaux secteurs, leurs inscriptions ne feront qu'augmenter. Nous ne pouvons tout simplement pas laisser se reproduire ce qui s'est arrivé aux étudiants de Bestech. The Ministry of Training, Colleges and Universities has a duty to regulate private career colleges. In fact, when the Private Career Colleges Act was proclaimed in 2006, the then minister declared it would ensure that all students enrolled in private career colleges get the education training they were promised. Our investigation found that for the students of Bestech, that promise was broken many times over. We found that the ministry's handling of Bestech Academy was abjectly inept. The very ministry that was supposed to be policing Bestech's deceitful president was actually paying for students to attend her college, giving her endless chances to comply with rules that she openly flouted. And days after she shut the place down and left students stranded, the ministry actually hired her as an employee. My concern is not just with this one school and the ministry's complete lack of enforcement against its brazen director, who saw herself as too cool for school or above the law. I'm concerned about its systemic failure to enforce the rules governing private colleges, to the point that Bestech's president told us that she essentially ignored them because so many others were doing the same thing. The fact is, the ministry has never laid a charge or prosecuted an illegal college. Its officials told us they didn't want to play gotcha games. They wanted to encourage more colleges to obey the law and become registered. But because of their timidity and squeamishness to get tough with unregistered colleges, Bestech students had no protection because the assurance fund set up under the Act only applies to registered colleges. This is not a case of strained government resources. The ministry was well aware that Bestech was operating illegally for 2 years right under its nose. One can only imagine how many others there might be that the ministry isn't aware of or that is simply tolerating, hoping that one day they will simply see the light and register themselves. The good news is that the ministry has accepted 10 of my 11 recommendations, which will benefit the tens of thousands of students who will entrust their money and their future careers to private colleges this year and to years to come. I've recommended a buyer beware list be put up on the ministry's website with much clearer lists of problem colleges that students have a fighting chance against rogue operators. But I'm very disappointed that my recommendation that it find a way to compensate the Bestech students was rejected because the ministry refused to think outside the box and do the right thing. This is very unfortunate for this small group of people who had the courage to come forward with their stories. They didn't get the education they were promised or the protection of their government. But for the lack of due diligence by ministry officials, many of these students would not have been ripped off by Bestech. Je suis très déçu que ma recommandation préconisant que le ministère trouve un moyen d'indemniser les étudiants de Bestech a été rejetée, car le ministère a ainsi refusé de penser en dehors des paramètres traditionnels et de bien agir. C'est très regrettable pour ce petit groupe de personnes qui ont eu le courage de parler de leur affaire au grand jour. Ces personnes n'ont pas reçu l'éducation promise et n'ont pas eu la protection de leur gouvernement. Sans le manquement de diligence raisonnable de la part des responsables du ministère, beaucoup de ces étudiants n'auraient pas été escroqués par Bestech. The cost of helping them out would have been minuscule, but it would have made take the ministry a long time to repay the cost that has incurred to the public trust in this case. We will keep a close eye on the ministry as it implements my recommendation and reports back to us over the next year.